You know that feeling? That little voice in the back of your head that whispers, you don't belong here, even when you've done everything right to get where you are? Well, today, we're going to pull the mask off that feeling, because it has a name and it affects a whole lot of us.
Yeah, that deep, kind of nagging feeling that no matter what your resume says, no matter who praises you, you're just one wrong move away from everyone discovering you're a total fraud. If that hits home for you, trust me, you are in very, very good company.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by actually defining what this imposter thing is. Then, we'll look at just how common it is, and the numbers might shock you. We'll explore how it looks from different perspectives, break down the 5 common ways it shows up, and finally get real about its connection to our mental health.
Okay, so let's get into it. What do we call this thing officially? It's known as the imposter phenomenon, but most of us just call it imposter syndrome.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it's basically this huge disconnect between what's happening on the outside and what you're feeling on the inside. You could have a wall full of awards, but you're still convinced you just got lucky or that you fooled everybody. It's a kind of self-doubt so powerful that no amount of proof seems to be able to fix it.
Now, it's easy to think you're the only one feeling this way, that it's some weird, rare thing, but oh boy, the research tells a completely different story. Seriously, these numbers are kind of wild. 62%. Just let that sink in for a second. In a huge study of over 11,000 healthcare providers, we're talking doctors, nurses, people we literally trust with our lives. A majority of them feel like imposters. This is not some fringe issue. It's everywhere, especially in really demanding fields. And this isn't just a quiet thought in someone's head. It has real, tangible effects on people's lives. As this one study points out, it can push you to one of 2 extremes. Either you're totally frozen, unable to act, or you're working yourself to the bone trying to prove you deserve to be there. But here's something that's so important to understand. Imposter syndrome doesn't hit everyone in the same way. Things like social pressure, biases, they can crank up the volume on these feelings. Let's look at a specific example to see what I mean.
So, these researchers, Fields and Cunningham-Williams, they honed in on a very specific group, Black women who are faculty members at top-tier research universities. They wanted to see how this feeling of being an imposter played out for them.
And what they found, wow. For these women, this wasn't just a little bit of self-doubt. It was this constant, intense pressure. They were always worried about how their colleagues saw them, which made it almost impossible to just be themselves. It forced them into this tough spot. Do you try to fit in, or do you stay true to yourself, knowing it might cause problems? And some made that brave choice to stay authentic, even with the risks.
What's super interesting is that this feeling doesn't look the same for everyone. It kind of shows up in these different flavors or archetypes. So as we go through these, see if any of them sound, well, a little too familiar.
Okay, first up, you've got the perfectionist. For them, 99% is a fail. Then there's the superhero, who just has to work harder and longer than everyone else to feel like they're not a fraud. You've got the natural genius, who thinks if they don't get something right on the first try, they're a total failure. The soloist, they think asking for help is the ultimate sign of weakness. And finally, the expert, who's stuck in a loop of thinking they need one more degree, one more certification before they're really qualified. Just knowing which one you are can be a total game changer.
Living with this constant feeling that you're a fake, it's exhausting, and it takes a huge psychological toll. This is the really crucial part, understanding just how deeply imposter syndrome is tied to our mental health.
Just look at these numbers. They come from a study on university students, and the difference is staggering. For students who felt like imposters, 69% had significant depressive symptoms. Compare that to just under 39% for their peers. Same story with anxiety, over 63% versus about 37%. The link here is crystal clear.
And to really put a fine point on it, that same study figured out that students feeling like imposters were 3.5 times more likely to develop serious depressive symptoms. This isn't just about feeling a bit insecure, it's a major risk factor for real psychological distress.
So, I want to leave you with this one question to chew on. The next time you achieve something, and that voice starts whispering that it was just luck, or a fluke, or a mistake, just pause and ask yourself, what if it's not luck? What if it's just you being good at what you do? What if it's competence?